All right, so we're gonna get back to it. I unfortunately did end my video a little early. I didn't mean to, but let's finish
Is
our
that
analysis of this.
my desktop audio wasn't turned on, so yeah, the viewers can't really hear what he's saying. To continue the point, and I'll give you the gist of his video. If you guys still don't believe me, feel free to watch his video. Oh, anyways, but I'm not gonna be posting it. I don't want to be giving that loser the attention that he craves. So he pretty
Someone's
much
a
just
little
talks
angry
about why swords were everywhere, the preservation biases I debunked already, and that they were a
again. Well, hang on. Let's
status symbol for the knights and other nobles.
not true. Again, like I said, we've already gone over this, but bears repeating. Again, we have 54% of the wounds inflicted by these in this battle in this war, the wars of religion. 54% are inflicted by swords, right? And we have again the infantry pell mell being called the, I'm not pronouncing that, sword striking. We have the men at arms being armed. Again, above all weapons, they use estocks. Again, the estoc is a type of sword. Let me just make that bigger for you, just so you can see it. Again, above all weapons, they use estocks. Again, we have another example of swords being used. And again, what are we looking at? We're looking at Rodeleros chewing through essentially um, pikemen, right? Opened up the Spanish infantry. They closed in with their foes at the strike of the sword. Victory belonged to the Spaniards, right? We have the Hagakure. Practice diligently with your bamboo sword every day. Okay, so again, we have this story. Killed many with his sword. So again, it's being used in combat, not just as a status symbol. We told them it is no longer time to shoot, but that we must fall on the sword, right? Bow did nothing, lasted very little, sword did the most, right? And I know he's going to accuse me of cherry picking, and it's like, well, you know, at what point are you going to say, okay, it's not cherry picking, it's a trend,
Noble
swords are being
people.
used?
And he then talks about Damascus steel and why swords were made from that. And I'll link a video by Arms and Armor Inc. who
My point isn't the quality of Damascus steel itself. My point was this is a very expensive steel, and you're using it for swords. You're not using it for spears. Why would you use that if the sword is so much worse than the spear?
demystify the myth of Damascus steel being better. In fact, in a lot of
Again,
cases,
that's a complete
Damascus
straw
steel
man.
was poorer in quality. The noblemen, like knights, liked their status symbol to be pretty, and so of course they would want their swords to have wavy patterns, even though some quality may be reduced. The link will be in the description below. He also continues talking about some other materials like obsidian, which Aztecs used in their bats. His words, not mine. The bats
I mean, how would you describe it, right? It's not really a sword because the sword, kind of implies that it's made out of steel. It's like a wooden bat with obsidian spikes on both sides. That's, a, I think, a decent way of describing it. I don't think I see any problem with that. Uh, let's go on. Oh, hang on, I've muted him.
that is, but the bats are actually makwahwatl. I don't think he even knows what that is, but he makes
I just didn't bother saying it because I know I'm gonna butcher it. I hate mispronouncing things, and yeah, I just brought it up. Hey, this is what it is. Uh, and again, when you're dealing with this kind of weapon, uh, it's a lot more obsidian that it takes to make a spear, right? Out of obsidian. So why are they doing it? Why are they using this? Because again, the sword is useful.
absurd claims like obsidian is somehow better than steel.
I never said that. I said it's sharper. It flakes naturally to a sharper point, and it because of the increased hardness, it maintains that hardness. And he's going to basically reiterate my points. And again, with increased hardness comes increased brittleness, which is pretty common knowledge.
Steel or iron or other metals. Sure, it's sharper, but that's only because it's harder than most things. In fact, its hardness is also a problem. because that makes it extremely brittle.
I, that's what I said. Is that not what I said?
And the weapons that the Aztecs used, made out of obsidian, didn't last as long as
Well, yeah, they lost. I mean, again, the reason I brought it up was not to talk about, oh, this is a weapon that's better than a sword. I didn't say that. You're putting words in my mouth. I never said that obsidian was better. I said, hey, this is a weapon. And obsidian, it makes a perfect spear point, right? Because it's so sharp. It's so sharp. It would be a good spear, right? To have an obsidian spear. Um, but they didn't do that. Well, they did do that. In some cases, they did have. We do have remnants of obsidian spears, relics and remains of obsidian spears. But the main weapon that they used wasn't the spear; it was this maquaddle, which is a lot closer to a sword than it is to a spear. I think you would, and I think you would agree with me on that.
let's say metal weapons. He then brings up the classical period in a discussion of medieval warfare about how
I think that's absolutely fair. You know, when you look at the hoplites, what are they armed with? You have the pike, and then you have by their side a sword, right? And the idea is, you know, once the lines close, you pull out your sword. Same thing with the Romans, the gladius, right? Same thing with the Macedonians. The now I don't remember which one it is, the Xiphos or the Sarissa, but they did use swords.
why the Romans used the gladius, a sword, and the shield, which is again bringing up a topic that has nothing to do with this context.
I think it has everything to do with this context, right? We're talking about whether or not the swords are useful in battle in general, right? And sure, it doesn't have all that much to do with whether or not men at arms did have swords and shields. But I wanted to attack your claim that the pole arm was the primary weapon used in battle. And I think that's completely wrong. And I've provided more than enough evidence, I think, to prove me correct. Now, I mean, when you go back far enough, obviously, you're going to see spears be used more and more often. But thing is, point I'm making is that again, just to reiterate, 54% of the wounds are being inflicted
But peculiarly enough,
by
in the
swords.
comment section, he mentions hoplites, which funnily, which is funny because their main battlefield weapon was the dory, the spear. Well, he also brings up period not only prior to the Middle Ages, but also after it.
Yeah, I think that's
He talks
incredibly valuable because the Renaissance actually had better armor than the medieval period. So you would expect, by your own logic, decrease in sword and shield. But no, actually, yes and no, right? We see the Rodelleros still being used up until I believe, late 1600s. And then what happens is they get replaced, right, by more handgunners.
talks about the Rodilero, which were pretty much Renaissance at the end of the medieval period, so you can let it slide. And he talks about how their main
Very generous
weapons
of you.
were swords and shields, and the shields were made out of iron. Again, a complete strawman that has nothing to
How
do
is that a straw
with
man?
the original argument. Now, this is quite funny because he accuses me of being delusional and misinforming people, whilst on the
I
same
mean, you are. That's the problem. You are. You know, I have the evidence on my side. I have these quotes on my side. And I'm plenty more. I just, haven't bothered to post them to this Google Doc because transferring them takes a lot more energy than my lazy ass is capable of. But nothing motivates me more than spite. And if he makes another video, I would be happy to provide more and more quotes of the sword being used in battle. And I would absolutely love the chance to really educate people on just how often the sword was used because you do get people like this all the time that think that, hey, everyone tells me that the sword is not used in combat. Oh, it's so expensive. Oh, this and that. It's a status symbol. And again, it's just not true.
breath commit every single fallacy that you can think of. And so, again, I implore you guys. So, if you feel like I'm misrepresenting something or I'm lying about something, you can go check out his video on his channel.
I do think you misrepresented my argument when you said that when you tried to argue that a sword cannot go through a breastplate. Again, that wasn't something that I said it could do. I said a sword is being used to go around the visor, being used to go through the voids, right? And you can't really argue with that. I mean, this is an objectively true statement. But I think that ends our discussion. I think that ends the video. Let's see if he
But
has
I
anything
won't
more
be
for us.
posting the link to that loser's video here. And with that, I'd like to say that that debate pervert is done and dusted. Now, I don't plan on continuing this charade of him making a video and then I make a response, because that would be giving him attention, and that is what a person like
I don't do this for attention. I do it just so I can have a catalog of these debates. I really do not care all that much about people watching these videos. Uh, if I did, I'd be uploading a lot more of them. It's been a year since, well, I went a year without uploading a video just because, and I did have debates that I wanted to upload, and I just didn't bother just because it just didn't seem worth the time. But I would actually love to now. So thank you, Sergio. You've motivated me.
him wants, and I don't have free time like him. Some attention seeking bozo who would literally try to humiliate someone over some pointless
I would argue that I successfully did, given that the very quote you provided proves you wrong. So
argument. I didn't plan on making this video either, but when you try and belittle someone, that's when the gloves come off.
say I succeeded.
So this video will stand as testament so that no one can lie, bully, and then belittle someone and get away with it.
Well, again, I don't think I lied at all. Uh, I would love to see if he has a clip of me lying. But oh, that is an interesting picture. A sword going through the again. That's not something I said it happened. So again, very muchly suspicious of this guy and his debating strategies. I do think he is lying through his teeth about me, and I think he knows that. But he can't bring himself to admit that the main focus of our debate, that being, and again, let's just go
Hey,
over this again, really to reiterate it. Main focus of our debate again was on men at arms, English men at arms. He says that they wouldn't have swords and shields. They wouldn't have actually used they would have used polearms for battle instead of swords. And again, what is the very first thing, the quote that he brings up that I myself told him about?
and he quotes it, a description
Again, hangs by the side of each. Again, not each elite, each, right? And he admits that they're talking about the peasants. And he says, okay, well, they're talking about longbow men. Yes, they're talking about longbow men. But by the side of each is a bow and arrow, right? Or excuse me, by the side of each a sword, and always accompanied by an iron shield. So their depiction in Age of Empires is absolutely correct. And obviously, for game balances, you can't give the guy with a bow, a sword and a shield. I think you want to punish players for leaving these units out in the open. And so that's why Age of Empires split the longbowmen into a unit that specifically has a longbow and a unit that specifically has a sword and shield. That's a completely fair game design decision to make, I think. And yeah, I mean, if you wanted to have a really complicated game where every unit has multiple weapons in its arsenal, I think that would be a great idea too, but at the end of the day, I stand by Age of Empires' decision to split the longbowmen into a unit of longbowmen and a unit of sword and shield men, which was the original point of the debate. And I do think that at the end of the day, he's just mad because, he couldn't refute that. All right, that has been the Sci-Fi Show. I think that ends our debate. Hopefully, I don't think he's going to upload another video. Next up, I do plan on uploading a video about another debate I had regarding the Greatsword and its efficiency against armor. So stay tuned if you're interested. And hope to see you soon.